Back home, a group of journalists have concluded a site visit to President Jacob Zuma's residence in Nkandla in KwaZulu-Natal. Last week, journalists were given limited access during an oversight visit by an ad hoc committee of parliament to the president's private residence. But National Editors Forum SANEF complained about the restrictions. This morning's tour also included the government's facilities inside the premises. During the visit by the National Assembly Ad Hoc Committee on Nkandla last week, the media was taken on a tour of some of the infrastructure outside the residence. They were only allowed access to the section of the property where the clinic and the helicopter landing pad and 21 chalets for bodyguards and soldiers were situated. But editors lodged a complaint requesting that journalists be accorded an opportunity to see the facilities mentioned in the various reports on the Nkandla security upgrades. And for more on the journalist site visit, we're now joined by our political reporter Mzwandile Mbeje, who is in Nkandla. Mzwandile, a very good afternoon to you. Please tell us about the tour. What were the reporters allowed to see? What did you see?
Thank you very much, Alicia. As you've indicated, myself and a number of other journalists, in fact about 30 of us from various titles in the country, newspapers, electronic, both radio and television. So we were granted access to the property or to the homestead of the president relating to his security, to those issues that relate to security upgrades. As you mentioned last week that access may have been limited. This time round, we were given or we were granted access to the areas where the MPs, you remember the ad hoc committee visited Nkandla last week and went around the property to inspect all those things that are mentioned in the report. So what happened was that exactly where the MPs were taken and the places they visited, that's where the journalists were taken to. This means that we went to places like your visitor center, we went and saw the clinic, we went and saw the swimming pool, the chicken run, the crawl, basically, and the barracks, basically all those things that had been mentioned. So we were able, as journalists, to go there and to ask questions where we needed to.
Mzwandile, in your view, judging from what you've seen, what went wrong with the actual construction? Because reports indicate that that's where the problem started.
Alicia, what I can say is that the aim of the tour was to actually demonstrate, perhaps to the people of South Africa, what exactly is going on here. Because the media reports the way things are being said to the public. So you get a sense that so many of the things have been distorted and people need to know exactly what's happening. So what is basically happening is that this is the opportunity to grant the public the opportunity to see for themselves if those things that are being mentioned. For example, we hear about the inflated prices. So the public will be able to see, for example, the crawl. And then you make your own mind. That crawl that is there, is it worth 1 million rand, for example? The chicken run, is it worth that much? As has been done previously. You also see the clinic, the visitor center. You know, some of the MPs last week, for example, remarked that the visitor center was certainly not worth the money, or you couldn't really invite a head of state from another country to come into that kind of a place, because it is like just another office. So there's nothing that shows that this is a center where royalty and foreign heads of state could be received. And what is still shocking, Alicia, is that a lot of work still has to be done on the property. Many of the things are not completed. So when you look at the money spent and the things and the work that still need to be done, it's really, it really leaves a lot of questions to say, how on earth could such money be spent? And then you see the kind of work that has been done. So that is why the presidency, perhaps the government in general, said, let's grant the access to the public through the media. Let them see for themselves. So what is being spoken about? So is it really worth the money that is being spoken about?
Mzwandile, so what happens now? We've seen and heard everyone's opinions, but what should we be expecting from the saga? Do you think fairly this issue will be put to rest eventually now?
What we will do now is to wait for the parliamentary committee to conclude its work. Now they've come here, they've seen for themselves, they will form their opinions based on exactly something they know. And then you would have reporting from the media, by and large, which will be informed by facts, perhaps rather than fiction. So based on what the committee, the ad hoc committee will do, and then we'll then get an indication on whether we'll really reach finality on this matter, because I think at some point finality will have to be reached. Processes like this are steps towards that direction.
Thanks for that. That's our report on the scene in Mzwandile Mbeje in Nkandla, where journalists and the media were allowed on site for observation.